Am I the butthole for spending my savings? I, 24 female, am married to Ben, 28 male, and we have a daughter, Maya, 3 female. When Maya was born, Ben and I agreed that we would each put a portion of our incomes each month into a joint savings account so Maya could one day go to college. This Friday and Saturday night I went to Atlantic City with my best friend Sarah, 25 female, and a few other girls for her bachelorette party. Things got a little out of hand and I ended up spending quite a bit more money than I intended, and my personal savings took a pretty big hit. When I got home I told my husband this and informed him that I would not be able to contribute to Maya's college fund for a few months until I was able to earn back some of my personal savings. Ben flipped out, shouted things about how I don't care about our daughter, and he is currently locked in our guest room. Now here's the thing. I work part-time and my schedule is inconsistent. Ben works in consulting and makes almost 10 times as much money as I make. I feel that this shouldn't be a problem because Ben makes so much money that he can easily make up for the meager sum I would have contributed anyway, and my best friend is only getting married once, so I didn't want to be the wet blanket at the party who could not participate in the festivities. I believe, as a working mother, that I deserve some opportunities to cut loose. And besides, Ben and I never agreed on a set amount of money that we would contribute each month, we just agreed that we would contribute what we can. And it'll only be for a few months. I'm worried that I seriously damaged my relationship, but I'm honestly not convinced I did anything wrong by spending my own money on something enjoyable for once. Am I the butthole? Sorry, but you're the butthole, not because you cut loose but because you did so in a way that was financially irresponsible and not discussed with your partner with whom you share finances. I'd be really frustrated and upset with my husband if he cleared out his savings to party. I think you both should get on the same page when it comes to finances and communicate better. Your current setup is going to lead to resentment, particularly if you feel left out because he earns so much more than you. Uda, you lost your money gambling. Your daughter and husband should not be penalized due to you losing your money. Your title is very clear that you lost your money, you even capitalized it. Now, you want to essentially replace it with the family's money, no. INFO, how much are we talking here? How much did you overspend by? Edit, you're the butthole. You want to blow a couple grand over budget on a party, then your savings take the hit, not your child's college fund and your mutual obligations with your husband. You should keep paying into the fund as agreed, and your personal savings will just have to be out by the couple $1,000s you chose to spend until you can replenish it without bailing out on your agreed responsibilities. Am I the butthole for not punishing my son for being a bully? I have 2 children, Nico, 17, and Bailey, 13. Nico and Bailey have different dads. Nico takes after his dad build plus athleticism wise, he's tall and through sports plus frequenting the gym he's big. My ex has always instilled in him that due to his height and size he can be intimidating. I know Nico has a lot of resentment/shame because of this. Bailey is introverted, she's anxious and emotional, which can be sweet. It's not overly negative but in turn comes with challenges. One of these challenges being Jess, who teases Bailey relentlessly to the point of panic attacks and tears. The school hasn't done anything. Well, Jess' brother goes to the same class and gym as Nico, who when he found out about Jess told her brother that either he puts a stop to it or Nico would just bully him back. Nico is quite popular too. It's never gotten too bad, but Jess' mom and Nico's school have told us to stop it. As far as I'm aware, Nico and his friend just teased. I don't know specifically about what. I know Nico didn't get in his space. My ex wants to punish Nico. He says due to their age plus Nico's size that it's just unacceptable and naturally he's intimidating, but adding actually trying to be intimidating is worse. Well, Bailey isn't getting bullied anymore and she's grateful to Nico. I told him he shouldn't have bullied the kid, but I won't punish him. My ex and his wife are insisting I'm the butthole. Am I the butthole? Not the butthole. Your ex wants to punish your son for protecting his sister? I would give him a treat. Besides, Nico didn't actually bully him. Instead, he gave him a warning. The school has some audacity to get involved when no help was given to Bailey when she needed help. I would put in more complaints about this. Not the butthole. It would be weirder if he didn't say anything. The school didn't protect your daughter, so her brother stepped in. When I was in elementary school, I was bullied and hit constantly by a guy in my class, and when I reported it, my parents were told that his parents were going through a bad divorce and nothing really happened. Then my big sister came back from boarding school, waited at the gates for us and beat the crap out of him. He never spoke to me again. It really takes a village. All Nico did was tell Jess's brother to make the bullying stop? Why are Jess's parents telling you to stop? It would seem something more than a conversation of stop bullying or else occurred. Am I the butthole for telling my 14-year-old brother it's his own fault that he doesn't have any friends? My brother, who I'll call Sam, 14 male, had a friend since elementary school who I'll call Chloe. They were friends until last year when someone else in the friend group got a boyfriend. It was pretty typical teenage drama. The girl's boyfriend was making comments about how he thought Chloe was hot, So the girl demanded that Chloe be shut out of the friend group rather than dealing with her boyfriend. Most of the other people in the friend group started to bully Chloe. They would follow her around at school just to bully her. Instead of standing up to the bullies, Sam joined them. Chloe is being raised by her aunt and uncle. I can't get into all the details here. All I can say is that her birth parents should have never been allowed to have kids. Sam used the trauma that Chloe had from her birth parents against Chloe and used it to bully her. I told Sam I was absolutely disgusted with him. Sam kept making excuses that, well, having 7 friends is better than only having 3. I told Sam even if he would rather have 7 fake friends than 3 real ones, then that's his own choice. But there's never any justification for bullying someone. Especially doing something as disgusting as using someone's trauma to make fun of them. Our parents grounded Sam for months. They tried making him go to therapy but stopped after a few sessions because Sam just refused to talk to the therapist. Sam started high school this year. About a month ago, some more popular kids started making fun of Sam and Sam's friend group also started bullying him. Sam tried to go back to Chloe and the 2 friends who had supported her, but they made it clear that they wanted nothing to do with Sam. Sam was ranting to me while I was trying to make food in the kitchen about how Chloe was a jerk and that she just wants to be a self-righteous victim because she didn't forgive him. I told Sam that it's his own fault he doesn't have any friends right now. He sided with a bunch of bullies and became one. He only came to Chloe and stopped talking to the bullies after he became the target. He needs to stop blaming other people and accept that he screwed up. Besides, his second semester's starting soon. He'll be able to join clubs and meet new people that way. He is still able to make new friends and treat them well. My parents agreed with what I said and told Sam similar things. But then one of my friends and 2 other people told me that I was wrong to tell Sam that it's his own fault he doesn't have any friends. One of the other people said that even though Sam was a bad friend, he has now also been a victim of bullying and he's been through enough punishment without me saying anything. My friend and the other person said that it wasn't my place to say what I did because Sam's still only 14 and I should have left any discipline to my parents. I can see their points, but still feel I was justified. Am I the butthole? Not the butthole. Bullies should be called out when they are bullying someone. It's important not to coddle someone and to make them understand that their actions have consequences. Your brother seems to be the one playing the victim, not Chloe. He reaped what he sowed. Hopefully this will be a lesson learned. Not the butthole. Sam was in butthole, and he's learning his lesson the hard way now. Good for Chloe and the other 2 friends for not taking him back, and good for you and your parents for not coddling him and telling him it's okay. Am I the butthole for putting hot sauce on my leftovers? I, 24 male, live with my brother, 22. We are renting an apartment together and have been since he moved to my city for school. Our parents bought the apartment for us to use until we graduated. After I graduated I talked to my parents and took over paying half of all the bills. When my brother graduated he also decided to stay. It is a pretty sweet deal. We live in an expensive city and we could never find something as nice for what we pay. So my girlfriend and I have been together for about a year now. My brother is more of Afric boy. Which is fine by me. Yesterday my girlfriend, 21, and I ordered Thai food and had supper at home. Then she spent the night rather than go back to her dorm. I like my food hot and I like the way flavors blend and mellow in leftovers. So I put a bunch of chili sauce in my leftovers so I could take them for lunch today. My brother brought home another Tinder date. So my girlfriend and I went to my bedroom to watch TV and stuff. Around midnight last night I hear screaming coming from the kitchen. So we get up to check. I guess the random was hungry and decided to eat my leftovers. Not cool but I could deal. But she cannot handle spicy food. So she is in a lot of pain. My brother is trying to get her to clean her mouth with oat milk. It isn't helping. She is calling me in butthole for booby-trapping food. I said she didn't buy the food so why was she eating it? So now my brother is on his way to a convenience store to get actual milk. She was still cursing me out when she left with him. My girlfriend is on my side but my brother says that I should not have spiced my own leftovers. I told him to pay me for what she ate. That shut him up. I probably wrecked his evening. Don't care. But he keeps texting me and saying that I screwed him over. How dare you add spice to your leftovers causing a random date who didn't ask if she could eat them pain. This is why you don't randomly eat food from a stranger's fridge without asking, besides it being incredibly rude. Not the butthole. Not the butthole. She wouldn't have burned her mouth if she didn't steal your food. Karma was instant and deserved. Not the butthole. Let me get this straight. A strange woman comes to your apartment for entertainment. She has no idea who lives there, who does what, then raids your fridge and eats leftover food, then claims you are booby-trapping your food. Repeat the above several times. She needs to be grateful the only thing bad that happened to her at a strange apartment is that she ate spicy food. Not the butthole. Am I the butthole for telling my stepmom's parents they won't be welcome at any of my future milestones if they keep harassing my dad? My dad and my stepmom met when I was 12. My mom died when I was 4 months old and dad chose to raise me for the first few years alone because he didn't want someone else to come in and take my mom's place. I spent those years very close with both sets of family, from both my mom and dad's sides, and all of them made sure mom lived on. Dad started dating a little when I was 11 and he met my stepmom when I was 12. She and I got along really well from the start. She was super nice, was comfortable with mom's photos being kept in our house, and she had her own grown kids, so there was no big deal about her being a parent/mom for me. She was just my really nice stepmom. Two people have a problem with all this: her parents. They take huge issue with my dad marrying her when I was 14 and not encouraging me to see her as my mom. They have also called him cruel before for not wanting me to have someone fill the mother role in my life. Even though I have never felt like he did me a disservice or anything, they take issue with it. They take huge issue with it. My stepmom has told them it's none of their business, and dad has said he's not bothered by what they say because he has heard it before, on many occasions, because people often tried to set him up before he was ready and encouraged him to find someone who could fill the mother figure role I was missing. It bothers me a lot because they will talk like I am some devastated kid who never moved on from not knowing my mom and who had this really bad life with a longing for a mom to come and raise me. It's simply not true, and I have told them this. I'm a senior in high school now and I am so over their crap. 4 years of it is too much for me. And last time I saw them, which was Thanksgiving, I argued back for the first time and told them I was glad dad didn't rush to replace mom for me and that he let me grow up healthy and happy and stable, but with the knowledge of who my mom was. I told them I am painfully aware that my mom died before I knew her, and I am very much aware she didn't get to raise me, but I grew up perfectly and I would not change a thing about how dad handled it once my mom died. They told me I felt that way because I didn't want to admit dad denied me the most precious thing ever. I told them if they continued to harass my dad about this stuff, then they would not be welcome to my future milestones, like graduation and when I get married, because they are disrespecting the parent who gave me a wonderful life after we lost my mom. They were angry. My stepmom told them I was right and they were taking advantage of the fact my dad didn't care and didn't want her to cut them off for the way they treated him. My stepmom's kids were pissed I spoke to their grandparents that way, so what I said has caused some more drama in the family. Am I the butthole? Not the butthole. Let your stepmom handle her kids' feelings about this. She agrees with you, and we agree with you. None of this is her parents' business at all. Not the butthole. Your stepmom's parent sounds toxic and delusional. They've made up their own mind about your life, and apparently nothing you say changes their mind. I'm on your side on your decision to leave them out of your milestones, if they continue to speak ill of your dad, and above all if they make your milestones about them. Am I the butthole for taking my stocking down? I'm a married mom of 2, 4B and 2G, and every year I do everything for Christmas: put up the decorations, get all the gifts, including the ones for the mailman, garbage man, teachers, etc., get all the gifts from the kids, wrap all the gifts, mail all the gifts, put candies in the advent calendar, bake the cookies, plan and cook Christmas Day meals, position the dang elf on the shelf every night, and buy and fill all the stockings. Including, for the most part, my own. I spend a lot of time trying to be thoughtful and fill stockings with things I know each person will actually like and appreciate, and mine usually feels like a bit of an afterthought, with 1 or 2 things put in by my husband, and the rest of it being things I buy for myself just so it looks like there's something in it, and so no one else feels bad that they didn't fill it. I'm feeling tired by it all this year, so I decided not to do all the things I usually do. It still feels Christmas-y around the house and the kids won't notice anything different on Christmas morning, but I told my family not to get me anything because I'm not getting them anything, including for stockings. They kept fighting me on it and figuratively winking at me, like they didn't think I was being serious. So I took my stocking down to show them I mean it. I don't really care about gifts for myself, anyway, but I especially don't want to do all the work and spend all the money when I'm the only one who ever does it. Some extended family members live with us, too, and now they and my husband are trying to guilt me into putting my stocking back up because they don't like it being down and they think it will negatively affect the kids. I told them no, I don't need to see an empty stocking hanging on Christmas morning, and I don't need to leave it up just so they can put some random things in it because they felt like they had to. I just don't care that much, and it honestly feels really freeing to make that choice for myself and stick to it. But they're all telling me I'm being selfish and taking away from the magic of Christmas for the kids and all of them. Am I the butthole for scaling back on Christmas and taking my stocking down? You're the magic of Christmas and somehow you're selfish? Not the butthole. Not the butthole, but you know what would have been even more freeing? Passing your husband the responsibility of buying all the gifts. Leave him a handy list of all the people/things you have been purchasing for all these years and then put your feet up. You deserve a break. Am I the butthole for weighing my face wash bottle to catch my roommate using it? I have sensitive skin and acne, so I use a special face wash. It's not prescription, but it's an expensive and hard to find brand. Over the past few months, I noticed it seems like I've been using it up faster than normal. My roommates know about it, because when it was late to arrive I asked them to look for it in the mail, and when it got here they were like, "Hey, your face wash got here." Coincidentally, I noticed my roommate, the only one I share a bathroom with, hadn't replaced her face wash for weeks, and I got suspicious she was using mine. So when I left for a 2-week vacation last month, I weighed the bottle before leaving. We have a food scale that my roommate has for her diet, and we've all explicitly been told we can use it whenever we want. When I left, the face wash weighed 8.3 ounces. When I got back it was 6.9 ounces. I confronted my roommate and asked her nicely that it was my special face wash and to please avoid using it. She denied it vehemently. It's an opaque bottle, so not really visually obvious how much is in it, so she probably thought she could get away with lying. Then I revealed that I'd weighed it, and that 1.4 ounces were missing, which means she must have been using it almost every day. She turned beet red. Now she's been avoiding me for days, but she told my roommates I'm a psycho, controlling butthole for weighing it, and says normal people wouldn't do that, and that using a little face wash is normal and isn't a big deal. I don't know what to do. Should I apologize? Did I overstep my boundary? Am I the butthole? Not the butthole. She's angry because she's been exposed for a thief, that's all. Not the butthole. If you had used weighing instead of communicating/asking, that would have been off. But you just had it as a backup and your roommate is only mad they got caught lying. The solution is to not lie. Not to get mad at you for catching them. She thinks using a little face wash is normal and no big deal? LOL, she must be rich. Normal skincare products for the face cost an arm and a leg, and have to be budgeted for. Also, she wouldn't have denied it if she thought it was no big deal. Not the butthole. She's mad she got caught. It's not normal to use somebody else's stuff and lie about it. But you should maybe keep it somewhere it's not easy for them to get to. Am I the butthole for walking out at dinner when my dad put on Abbott Elementary? I, 23 female, am a recently graduated 6th grade teacher. I'll preface this by saying I am still living at home with my parents, 51M and 51F, to help save money for the time being. Last year was my first year teaching at an elementary school. Edit for clarification, I taught 1st grade, and I would describe it as hell on earth. My bosses were verbally abusive, and she gave me negative evaluations for the most ridiculous reasons. A kid spilled cut like cut. I had kids count the number of red and white stripes on the American flag during our social studies lesson and had them practice adding them since we were learning addition. It was my first ever job and I didn't know how to advocate for myself. Everyone at my school was having such a bad time with our bosses that the transfer list had to be capped to 1 person per grade level, and all of my admin was replaced at the end of the year with an entirely new staff. For me, the school year was so bad for my mental health that, without getting too specific, I had to be put on medical leave for 2 months, was temporarily restricted from using a vehicle, and was required to see a therapist. I wanted to give up teaching entirely, but I decided to try one more year at a new district and at a new grade level, and I have fallen in love with it. I'm so much happier now than I was before. The problem here comes from my father. Around June, he started hounding me to watch a show called Abbott Elementary. He thought it would be something I enjoyed because he thought I could relate to the teacher's struggles. I refused. I told him I did not want to watch it after what I went through at my old elementary school. I didn't want to be reminded of it, and I didn't want to think of work outside of work if I could help it. He accepted this for a while, but when he saw that I liked my new job in September, he started pressing again. Every time he asked, I still told him no, that I wasn't ready to watch it. I didn't want to see a visible reminder of what I had gone through the last school year. He continued asking at least once a week, no matter how forceful I have been with telling him no. Tonight, at dinner, we were sitting in the living room with dinner trays and watching TV when he pulls up the show. I stared at him, and he said something along the lines of, "Let's just see if you like it." I quickly ate the rest of my food, stood up, and walked out to go to my room. He asked if I was really leaving over a TV show, and I told him I had made it clear to him several times that I did not want to watch it and that I wasn't going to. I'm wondering if all of this is just me being extra as hell and if I should have just sat through a few minutes of the damn thing. Am I the butthole? Not the butthole. You gave him an easy boundary that you made clear from the get-go and he stomped it. Aspects of the show trigger you and bring back traumatic memories. I'm also a teacher. I love Abbott Elementary, it is hilarious and it validates my experience as a teacher. My friends and I watch it and can relate to everything. I think that's what your dad wanted for you, but you clearly still have trauma from your first year of teaching. Look into getting some counseling for the residual stress of your last position. No buttholes here. Not the butthole. I went through the same thing, different job. I used to work for Google at HQ in Mountain View. It was fun until it wasn't. I don't work for them anymore, don't want to work in tech and don't want to work in corp-im at all. I started dating a guy who watched that tech show on HBO, I don't think it's on anymore. He put it on when we were at his place and I felt sick to my stomach. I was instantly reminded of the crap hole that is the tech industry in Silicon Valley. I told him I just couldn't watch it and he understood. I feel for you. I don't think your dad really understands what you're going through or how being exposed to that show triggers you. Seeing that show for me, transferred me back into an extremely stressful and dire situation/environment. I hated it. Am I the butthole for telling my boyfriend that his mother can't stay over after she ate my cake? My boyfriend, 20 male, stays over for some days and other days I, 19 female, stay over at his. It's a mixture of how our schedule looks that week. Me and my boyfriend have known each other since we were 9 and went through high school together. We only confessed our feelings to each other in the middle of senior year. His mother used to like me when I was a devout kid, though now thinks I'm too sacrilegious and provocative. She thinks I'm corrupting her little boy even though he was never devout to begin with. She puts on the facade of loving me in front of my mother and him at times. Though behind their back she would tell me her opinions or be outlandish. I love baking in my free time or when I'm stressed, so I would bake for hours at a time. A couple of days back, I just wanted to bake a cake for my boyfriend as he has been feeling quite overwhelmed recently with studies and prospects. So, I spent the night baking when he was at his studying as I hoped to cheer him up. I made a passion cake that was everything fire as he has been talking about what his passion is and if he really has what it takes. I put a surprise in the middle of the cake, which was an edible remake of our first letter that we wrote each other at 12 for our homework. This took me so long to find and make. After around 6 hours, I took a nap and went to school. I came back to find my boyfriend, who has a key, and his mother who came with him once a week. I unpack and go to the refrigerator to check how the cake turned out and to give it to him. Though, I found a couple of slices cut out, with the letter gone cake pieces all over. I was really upset to say the least and couldn't believe it, but I knew it was his mother as she always went straight to my fridge to try my leftovers. It may sound like an overreaction, but I felt like I was on the verge of crying as I really wanted to give it to him and thought I executed it well. His mother came to the kitchen and saw the cake I placed on the table. Started to overly apologize when she realized what she had done, even though I knew it in my gut that she did it on purpose. I just ignored her and my boyfriend was in the living room so he didn't really hear much nor cared to listen in as we always talked. My boyfriend asked me if it would be alright if his mother could stayed over in the guest room as it was late and she couldn't drive at night, eyesight problems. I tell him no and that I would much prefer if she didn't. He asked me why I was upset and I couldn't be asked to go back and forth. I told him to just let her leave my apartment. Meanwhile, I knew she was listening in as she loves to hear us go back forth. He told me that I was being unreasonable and that his mother has been nothing but sweet. I just kept on being dismissive and he left to go drive her to his apartment and stay there, even though he was supposed to stay at mine that night. He has been quite dismissive as he was already in immense stress. Am I the butthole? Not the butthole. A master class in manipulation by Mill. Who walks into someone's house and just eats a cake they found in the fridge. Not like a half-eaten cake either. It could have been for someone else too, but Mill ate it anyways. That's just downright rude. Mill knew either two things would happen: you say nothing and she stays smug, or you call her out, create an argument so that baby boy can run to mommy and crap talk you. Your boyfriend needs to at least understand what was in the cake and how crazy it is for anyone to walk into someone's house and treat themselves to a slice. Not the butthole. Dump him though. It'll only get worse. Keep putting up with this and she'll be accidentally cutting your wedding cake first. You deserve better. Not the butthole. She is going to break you up and he's going to let her. Sorry. Why does he bring his mother with him? Did they arrive in 2 cars? This sounds 1000% fake. It makes no sense. Am I the butthole for refusing to help my siblings care for their father, my bio father? I'm the youngest and all 3 of us are full bio siblings. But their father didn't want another girl and when I was born, he refused to raise me, so mom divorced him. His parents were involved in my life until they passed, and when I questioned if he was really my father, they even did a DNA test on me and my grandparents to help prove it to me. He had shared custody technically of all of us, but only took his time with them. The courts never really did anything about him not taking me but taking them. We grew up with a strained dynamic because of it. Now our mom is gone and he's sick. They want me to help them since he's my dad too, but he's not. He's biologically related to me but he never raised me, loved me. He even made a point of telling mom in front of me when I was younger that he had his will drawn up so I would get nothing from him when he dies, and he found a way around the backdated child support he owes for me still. He was so smug about it. I told my siblings I would not help with their father and that he didn't get to cut me off for being a girl and then expect me to care for him as an adult. They said it would be helping them. I said they never treated me as a real sister and were always quick to talk about what he did with them and how amazing he is around me, when they knew how hard it was for me. I said as kids it's one thing, but they were like that even as adults. They called me petty. I told them they were expecting too much from someone who was not worthy of any kind of support from the man who was supposed to love and support me as a child. I also said they couldn't decide to suddenly treat me like I'm equal when they have made it clear for years that I'm not. They called me an butthole. They called me selfish. They told me I wasn't worth crap. Am I the butthole? Not the butthole, but why do you have any contact with any of them at all? Close the book on that chapter of your life and move on. They don't deserve you. Not the butthole. Greater than they called me selfish. They told me I wasn't worth crap. Sure, because that's how you convince someone who's just gotten through complaining that you've never treated them like part of the family, much less shown them actual love and compassion, that they're wrong. Put them all on mute and go about your life. They are wrong. Not the butthole. Not the butthole, and for all the reasons you stated. They didn't love and support you. Why shouldn't you treat them the same as they've treated you? Go no contact with them, as it seems you were almost there anyway. You deserved better, but at least your mom stood up for you and divorced his sorry ass for treating you like that. Am I the butthole for not babysitting my best friend's baby? I, 25 female, have a best friend/roommate, 23 female, who we'll call Anna. Anna has a 2-year-old son, who also happens to be my godson. I love him to absolute death, and I have since the day he was born. Anna and the father aren't together, one-night stand situation, but they are extremely good co-parents. I don't know much about the father, but they're both in the Air Force and have to report to drill one weekend of every month. Anna gets her drill schedule in advance so I can help her out with my godson when she's not home, and so I could also drive her to her drill. She doesn't have her license. I also will watch him for her if she goes out, since I'm a homebody and too tired to join her whenever I get home from work. A few weeks ago I found out that my grandfather, who lives in Italy, was diagnosed with brain cancer, and this is going to be his last Christmas. I was always very close with my grandfather, but he moved out of the States when I turned 20, and due to the pandemic I haven't been able to see him. I decided to book a last-minute trip to go to Italy for a month and a half, since I was able to get paid family leave from my job and my grandfather's health is deteriorating rapidly. I informed Anna the night, December 7th, I booked my flight, that I would be leaving to see my grandfather. She immediately became enraged and telling me that I would be interfering with both of her drill weekends for December and January. I apologized to her and tried explaining the situation, but she continued to call me selfish for not letting her know, or as she says, keep her in the loop. I acknowledged that this was completely last minute, and asked if my godson's father could help in any way. She exploded on me again, telling me that he's a loser and wants nothing to do with him, and that he's the reason she's a so-called mess. As much as I tried to explain to her that I understand, I agreed to help out with her son. My own family comes first. She then proceeded to call me a horrible friend for not helping her, especially since she will have a week-long drill in January while I am away. She told me that I'm self-centered and making her life 10 times harder. Am I the butthole? So not the butthole. If you don't see your grandfather before he passes, then you will have to live with that regret for the rest of your life. Regret can haunt you later in life, and change the person you are now. Your friend, yes, she is serving, but seems to think she is entitled to free child care, and free Uber. Emergencies come up, and what you have to deal with is a lot, and it could end up being traumatic for you. She is worried about drill, babysitting, and a ride. Edit, I wonder if she really is your friend at this moment, or if she sees you as a gopher. Go for this, go for that, run me here, run me there, here babysit my kid. If she was your real friend, a friend would say look, go and help you pack, and be kicking you out of the door. End of edit. Not the butthole. She's calling you self-centered because you want to go see your dying grandfather and can't watch her kid? She can find alternate care, you've given plenty of notice. She just wants the free labor from you. Go see your grandfather and don't give her a second thought. You're definitely not the butthole, and tell Anna to call her baby daddy to come and take care of his child while she goes to drill. That child is both of their responsibilities and shouldn't be dumped onto you because they had a one-night stand. Not the butthole. Anna has entitled parent syndrome. Since you normally babysit whenever she wants you to, she now feels entitled to your time. That's ridiculous. Her child is her child and she is responsible, not you. Go see your grandfather without any guilt because you don't owe Anna child care and taxi service. She's going to have to grow up and figure it out herself for a month. Am I the butthole for telling my parents I won't go home for Christmas unless they get me a gift? Throwaway. My 19 male sister Bree, 17, is a brat. My parents spoil her rotten, and if she doesn't immediately get her way she'll throw a tantrum, and my parents will always give in to whatever she asks for. I wouldn't say she got in the way of me or our brother, 23, getting anything, but it was always really obvious who got more. My parents emailed me asking if I would be okay with doing a low-stress Christmas this year, as in nobody would get gifts for anybody else, we would just spend time together. I was fine with this, Since I don't want anything anyway and it would make things less stressful like they said. I called them to let them know, and they immediately told me what to get Bree. I was confused, and said I thought we weren't doing gifts this year? My mom said yeah, but Bree is different, you know how she'll get if she doesn't get something. Besides, she's still a baby. This made me mad. Not because I wanted gifts, but because it felt like Bree was getting to be the favorite again. I hung up and looked on the family Amazon account, and they have already gotten her a brand new tablet, a bunch of accessories for it, a name brand giant makeup case, and loads of smaller things. I called them back and told them that I won't come home for Christmas unless I get a gift. It doesn't have to even be a fraction of what they spent on Bree, it could be literally the smallest thing, I just want one gift. They told me I'm being childish and they thought they raised me better. I told them that was the deal and hung up. I told my housemates that I might be staying here over the break, and when I explained why, they said I'm being immature and that my parents don't owe me anything because I'm an adult now. I told them the gift isn't the point, it's that Bree is obviously being treated differently from me, but they said it's because she still lives with them and is still a kid, and that I should grow up and stop being entitled. I think I'm justified, but now I wonder, am I the butthole? Not the butthole. The rules were no one gets a present, but now the golden child has to have a bunch of gifts including gift from everyone so she doesn't get upset. Scratch that. For your own mental health and well-being it's time to consider low to no contact with them. Don't keep setting yourself up to get hurt because your parents obviously favor your sister. Your parents obviously favor your sister. You're a whole 19. This you're an adult argument is ridiculous. She's always been favored even before you were 19. Your parents have made it clear they favor one child and that child exploits it to the fullest extent. There are people out there who may not be blood related to you, but will be better family than these people. Find them. Go live your life. Don't keep running back to people who make you feel less than because family. Not the butthole. She's 17. She's not a baby, she's the golden child. If I were you just wouldn't go at all because of the gall of being deliberately lied to. Am I the butthole for wanting to stick with the deal I made with my daughter? I, 54 male, am a single parent to Emily, 13 female. A few months ago we moved to a 2-bedroom apartment. For some context, before we moved here we lived with relatives or family friends sometimes, so clearly we weren't in the best situation, but we're doing better now. Now onto the situation. The apartment we moved into is a 2-bedroom 2-bath. One bedroom is the master's with a full bathroom and 2 closets in it, while the other is much smaller with a bathroom directly outside the bedroom door and a small closet. I work long hours and I am usually too tired to come home and do all the cooking and cleaning after a long day of work. I also have some medical issues which makes me working that much harder for me. Since before we moved here I've tried to get Emily to help me out with cooking and cleaning, but she feels that it's not her job to take care of the house or cook for us. We've had a lot of arguments over this and it was like pulling teeth trying to get her to help me. She'd make herself food and keep her own room clean, but she refused to clean up after anybody, not even me, but herself when we lived with other people. So when we moved to this apartment I told her she could have the master's if she cooked and cleaned, and she agreed. It's been a few months since then and she has gone back on our deal and still refuses to clean my bathroom and room even though she's home all day doing nothing. She cooks when I ask her to, but since it's her responsibility I feel like I shouldn't have to tell her to cook every single day, and sometimes it feels like she purposefully makes bad food so I won't ask her to cook. I've talked to her and she feels it's unfair on her to do all the cooking and cleaning, but I told her that we made a deal and I won't allow her to go back on it just because she's lazy. I feel like I might be the am I the butthole because I won't allow her to go back on the deal and switch bedrooms just so she doesn't have to take care of her responsibilities. So am I the butthole for holding her to the deal we made? Edit. Okay, so this post got way more attention than I thought it would, so I think it's time for me to come clean since people are getting actually worried and talking about trying to get CPS involved, and I'm getting some pretty vulgar DMs, which I actually appreciate very much, believe it or not. I'm the daughter in this situation and I wrote this from my father's point of view. For y'all wonderful people in the comments that were genuinely concerned about me, this situation was a while ago, edit, years ago, so I'm older now, and I no longer live with him and I'm doing much better. Everything I said from his point of view, including comments, was verbatim what he told me while I was living with him, and none of the details were embellished at all, just vague for privacy reasons. As far as my schooling, I was homeschooled, by which I mean I tried my best to teach myself online for 4 years with little to no context on what I was actually supposed to be learning. I only went to elementary school because I lived with my mom at the time. My father had no idea what I was doing for school. So I pretty much on my own. I only posted on here to get judgment specifically on the arrangement we had regarding cooking and cleaning in exchange for me getting the bigger bedroom. Although I now know that my father had a lot of issues and was borderline abusive, at the time I didn't have much interaction outside of him, so I believed him when he said there was something wrong with me because I couldn't keep up with all the household tasks. I don't talk about my dad with people I know in real life, so I decided to post on here to get some outside opinions. I apologize for misleading you guys. Also, thank you so much for the people that were on my side. It feels amazing to know that I wasn't just crazy for feeling how I felt. If you have anything you would like to say, you can reply to this comment. Also, I'm not sure if posting from the opposite point of view is allowed, so if it isn't, I'm sorry about that. You're the butthole for trying to make you 13 yo daughter your live-in servant. You're an adult, and despite having health problems, it's not her duty to clean up after you or make your food. Sure, it would be nice if she helped out more, but what kind of dad would make a deal where his teenage daughter cleans his bedroom and bathroom? Have chores she helps with in the shared spaces, quit being a slob and keep your spaces clean, and share food making. Not saying make her cook half the time, but help find easy stuff she can help out with making a couple times a week. There's nothing wrong with a kid having some chores and very minor things like making easy meals. And if she doesn't want to make dinners, that's fine. She's your daughter, not your wife or roommate. It's your responsibility to take care of her, not the other way around. If she's at home all day doing nothing, why isn't she at school? She's your daughter, not your live-in servant. Start acting like a parent. You're the butthole. Am I the butthole for not calling my ex directly after our daughter had to be taken to the hospital? My daughter had a nasty fall and I had to take her to the hospital as she hit her head and couldn't move her arm without crying. This happened at my brother's house, so he came to the hospital with me. He kept bringing up how I needed to tell my ex, and I asked him to do it as we only separated 2 months ago, so things are still rough between us. My brother called him over 20 times, but he only answered when he used my phone to call him. He came to the hospital, and when my brother left to get some food, he started telling me off for not calling him myself, since I knew he only answered specific calls while working. I told him to stop speaking to me, but he kept bringing it up, and my brother sided with him when he got back. Am I the butthole? You're the butthole. If you didn't want to talk to him, a text? If your daughter was with him and sick or injured, you'd want to know. I wouldn't call your ex an off for this situation, but not very bright. 20 calls implies urgency to most people. You're the butthole. It doesn't matter if you are good or not, he is your daughter's father, so you have to inform him, and if he was busy, it's obvious he won't answer his ex bill. Edit, if he was toxic or abusive, then not the butthole. You're the butthole. It doesn't matter if you separated 2 minutes, months or years ago, the child you two had together got hurt and was taken to the hospital. She comes first, end of story. You call him ASAP. Am I the butthole for saying I won't go on vacation with my family in the summer? I'm a HS senior and made this decision a while back. A lot of it is because of my sister. She's 2 years younger than me and we've always had an up and down relationship. When she wants something, she's really sweet and tells me I'm the best brother ever. But she also does things that make me dislike her. She outed me 2 years ago, for starters. Then she decided to snoop and find out stuff about my boyfriend when I told her to drop it. When she got into trouble for the latter, she did for both, but the punishment for the latter bothered her way more. She told me I was dumb, called me a couple of slurs, and said I was a crafty brother and wanting respect for mine and my boyfriend's privacy was dumb. We went on vacation in June, and while there I became so done with her. She started taunting me about how my boyfriend was going to cheat on me because he's bi. She said that he'll never love me and how pathetic I must look to his girlfriend to be with him after 2 years when clearly he'll just want to be with a girl when he moves. I told her to stop. I warned her she was crossing into territory she didn't want to walk into. So the second to last night there was a lot of tension, and our parents were trying to get her to apologize when she told me she was going to get my boyfriend to sleep with her and that would show me, and then I would need to apologize to her. I told her if she were able to do that and if she stooped that low that she would no longer be my sister, that I would find her even more repulsive than I already did at that point. She was very smug, and I told her I did not love her more than I loved myself, and I would never allow someone so twisted to be in my life if they were willing to sleep with someone I loved just to show me. My parents got her to apologize again, but when a month had passed and I hadn't forgiven her, they went on to say I could not hold a grudge forever and she's 16 and she's being dumb, but at some point our relationship has to be more important. I told them she and I would never be the same again. My sister got to choose the family vacation spot next summer. I chose the one this year, and while my family were talking about it I told them I wouldn't be going. My sister looked completely shocked and my parents were asking me what I was talking about. I told them I was done with my sister, that I have no interest in playing happy families anymore and the vacation will be just the 3 of them from now on, and even if this was supposed to be my last family vacation with them, I decided it had already happened. My parents told me I was taking things too far. I told them I couldn't even look at her anymore, let alone spend a week up close with her. She apologized a lot more genuinely a couple of days ago and begged me to come. She said she doesn't want to lose me and that she wants me on vacation with them. I said no. She was very upset. My parents are mad at me. Am I the butthole? Not the butthole. Your sister quite frankly sounds unhinged. I can't tell if she's jealous of you or she's jealous you're in a relationship so your attention is elsewhere. Her attitude is alarming, which your parents need to sort out. I would still not go on this vacation, so she will learn actions have consequences. Not the butthole. Your sister seems like a piece of work and your parents need to do more about combating her behavior. Using slurs and trying to get you BF to cheat is unforgivable, especially when it comes from family, and so I don't blame you for not wanting to spend a holiday with her. Am I the butthole for putting conditions on having my Mill stay with us over the holidays? My Mill is going through a separation with her husband, my wife's stepdad. As a result, she has moved out of their house and is currently bouncing around from family member to family member. She's been doing this for about 6 months. She stayed with us for about 2 months of that time, spread out over 3 visits. This has caused some stress on our marriage as I don't do well with extra people in my living space. But my wife feels bad for her mom because she was fully dependent on stepdad and doesn't have a job or a place of her own anymore. For Christmas this year, we were going to spend Christmas Eve with my wife's family at my wife's aunt's house and then come home and spend Christmas Day at our house as a family. But now my Mill has asked my wife if she can come home with us after Christmas Eve and spend some more time with us over the holidays. I told my wife that spending Christmas Day at home as a family, alone, was her idea and we agreed on it together. But she said she doesn't want her mom to be alone on Christmas. I told her that her mom was planning on staying at the aunt's place, but is only now wanting to come home with us. It started to turn into an argument about Mill needing to get her life figured out, and my wife told me to stop fighting about that because that part isn't important and she just wants her mom to feel like she's still part of a family during Christmas. So, I eventually relented and said that Mill can come with us for Christmas, but I have conditions. I said that Mill can come home with us if she agrees to watch our 2 kids for New Year's weekend so that my wife and I can go do something fun with some friends, or alone, if we want to. Get a hotel or Airbnb, who knows? My wife said that her mom is not a free babysitter and that we can't expect her to just watch our kids for us whenever we want. I told her that if Mill isn't a babysitter, then we aren't a hotel, and if she's going to keep going from house to house being dependent on people, she's going to have to pull her weight if it's going to be our house she's staying in. My wife said she won't ask her mom to babysit our kids for free for an entire weekend, so I said in that case, she and Mill can stay home with the kids and I will find something fun I want to do for New Year's weekend by myself. My wife said I am being selfish and that Mill is going through a hard time in her life and she needs family support. She said I am being a jerk by making that support conditional on Mill doing things for us instead of just doing it because we want what's best for her. She said that if I leave to do something on my own for New Year's, then I will have to be the one to explain to our kids why I am not there to bring in the new year with them. I told her that I have no problem talking to our kids about that, but I won't tell them the whole truth that their mom is putting Mill ahead of our family and relationship. She called me an and has been cold with me ever since. Not the butthole. At all. She's been bouncing around from house to house for 6 months. It's not like this separation is a completely fresh wound that she hasn't had any time to process yet. If the divorce had been more recent, I might agree with the "you're the butthole" responses. It's probably time she start figuring out what her permanent housing solution is going to be. It's completely reasonable to start asking for some favors in exchange for your trouble at this point. Also, she's going to need a place to stay for Nye anyway, so is it really that unreasonable? I personally don't think so. Not the butthole. It's not really a big ask of the Mill. And your wife doesn't seem to want to compromise on anything. It seems like she always gets the last say and her decision is final. You offered a compromise to the Mill staying for Christmas even after plans had already been made and your wife is being difficult. For all anybody knows, your Mill might actually love the idea of having her grandchildren all to herself for a weekend. Your wife is not only making decisions for you but doing it for her mother too. You're not the butthole but your wife is being one. Edited for spelling. Not the butthole. Greater than told my wife that spending Christmas Day at home as a family, alone, was her idea and we agreed on it together. But greater than she said she doesn't want her mom to be alone on Christmas. Greater than I told her that her mom was planning on staying at the aunt's place. Mill strikes again. You had plans, I'm in your shoes. If you're seeing her Christmas Eve, you deserve a day alone with your kids. I think asking for compromise is pointless. This is why. Greater than my wife said she won't ask her mom to babysit our kids for free for an entire weekend, so I said in that case, she and Mill can stay home with the kids and I will find something fun I want to do for New Year's weekend by myself. I'd tell her to go to her mom's and leave the kids with me.